The red wine splashes across my white uniform like blood. 200 guests gasp in unison. Crystal chandeliers throw fractured light across marble floors. Vivian's hand, still holding the empty glass, trembles with theatrical rage. "Clumsy idiot," she hisses, loud enough for the front tables to hear. "Do you know how much this dress costs? More than you'll earn in a year." I stand frozen, Merlot dripping from my collar, my chest, my hands. The engagement party continues around us. A symphony of wealth and champagne, and people pretending not to stare. Mr. Castellano James rises from the head table. His jaw is set. His eyes are on me. Not on his fiancée. On me. "Vivian," he says quietly. But I'm already moving. Already disappearing. Already becoming invisible again. That's what maids do. We vanish. Except this time, I know something Vivian doesn't. This time, I'm not staying silent. 4 months earlier, the Castellano estate needs staff. That's what the agency tells me. Excellent pay. Prestigious family. The kind of position that looks impressive on a resume if you're trying to rebuild your life after it falls apart. I need this job. Need the stability. Need something to focus on besides the anniversary coming up. 3 years since the accident that took my mom. 3 years since the hospital discharged her too early because her insurance wouldn't cover another night. 3 years since I learned that rich people make mistakes and poor people pay for them. The estate manager, Mr. Reeves, walks me through rooms that belong in magazines. He's 60, gray-haired, kind-eyed. "Mr. Castellano is rarely here," he explains. "Tech company. Always traveling. The position is primarily maintaining the residence and assisting when he entertains." Does he entertain often? Not yet. Something flickers in Reeves's expression. But that's changing. He recently got engaged. We pause outside a study lined with books. Through the window, gardens spread toward distant hills. The fiancé, Reeves continues carefully, is particular about how things are done. I recognize that tone. That careful diplomacy that means difficult. "I can handle particular," I say. Reeves looks at me. Really looks. "I believe you can, Miss Torres." I start the following Monday. I meet James Castellano on my 3rd day. He's 36, handsome in that clean-cut tech executive way. Expensive haircut, perfect suit, eyes that assess everything. He comes home unexpectedly, finds me polishing silver in the dining room. "You're new," he says. "Yes, sir. Carmen Torres." James is fine. He loosens his tie. "Reeves hired you." "Yes, James." He studies me for a moment. I keep polishing, steady hands, eyes down. But I feel his attention like sunlight. "The silver doesn't need polishing," he says gently. "It's been in storage for months." I look up, caught. I like to stay busy, I admit. Something in his face softens. I understand that. He leaves. I keep polishing. That evening, Reeves pulls me aside. "Mr. Castellano asked about you. Said you seemed diligent. Is that good? With him?" "Yes." Reeves pauses. "With his fiancée?" "We'll see." I meet Vivian Laurent 2 weeks later. She arrives in a Tesla, blonde and beautiful and dripping contempt. 28, model thin, wearing clothes that cost more than my monthly salary. "You," she says when I answer the door. "Are you the new maid?" "Yes, ma'am." "Carmen, I don't need your life story. I need you to bring my bags in. Carefully. Everything is designer." I carry 7 suitcases to the guest suite. She follows, critiquing each step. "Don't drag. Don't bump the walls. God, is it that hard to carry luggage properly?" I set the last bag down with exaggerated care. "Will there be anything else, ma'am?" "Yes. Learn to be invisible. I don't like being watched by the help." She dismisses me with a wave. That night, I hear her on the phone in the library. The door is cracked. I'm passing with fresh linens. Of course I said yes, mother. "Do you know what he's worth?" "The company's about to go public. We're talking hundreds of millions." A pause. "Love? Please. He's a means to an end. A very wealthy end." I keep walking. Not my business. Not my place to judge. But I remember the way James looked when he told me the silver didn't need polishing. Like he understood working just to avoid thinking. Like he might be lonely in this enormous house. The wedding is scheduled for 6 months away. Vivian moves in. The house transforms. Her designer, her colors, her rules. Staff meetings become lectures on her standards. "I expect perfection," she announces. "If you can't deliver, there are 10 people waiting for your position." James travels constantly. When he's home, Vivian performs, touching his arm, laughing at his jokes, playing the devoted fiancée. When he leaves, the mask drops. Carmen, this bathroom is disgusting. I look at the spotless marble. I cleaned it this morning, ma'am. Clean it again. And stop making excuses. I clean it again. Carmen, did you move my jewelry box? No, ma'am. I never touch personal items. Are you calling me a liar? No, ma'am. But my hands shake as I leave. Because I recognize this. This casual cruelty. This need to diminish someone just because you can. My mom's last hospital stay. The nurses who treated her like an inconvenience. The doctor who discharged her because beds were needed for better insured patients. The administrator who said complications weren't their problem. People with power. People without conscience. I start noticing other things. Vivian on the phone. The prenup? I'm handling it. I'll have daddy's lawyers find loopholes. Vivian to her friend over lunch. Once we're married, I'll convince him to sell. Take the money and buy a place in Monaco. Somewhere actually interesting. Vivian examining James's study. All these books. God, he's such a bore. I document nothing. Say nothing. It's not my place. But when James comes home looking tired, when he mentions the engagement party his board insisted on hosting, when he asks if I think Vivian seems happy, I almost tell him. Almost. She seems to enjoy planning the wedding, sir. I say instead. It's not a lie. Just not the whole truth. James nods slowly. You're tactful, Carmen. I appreciate that. After he leaves, I hate myself a little. Because staying silent is safe. Speaking up risks everything. I learned that lesson when I questioned my mom's discharge. When I demanded to speak to supervisors. When I was escorted out by security and told I was being hysterical. I learned that poor daughters don't question rich hospitals. That maids don't question wealthy employers. That knowing your place keeps you employed. The engagement party is planned for 200 guests. Tech executives, investors, society figures. Vivian obsesses over every detail, flowers, menu, seating charts. This party announces me, she tells her wedding planner. Everyone needs to see that James Castellano chose me. I'm assigned to serve. White uniform, polished shoes, invisible professionalism. The night arrives. The ballroom fills with San Francisco's elite. Vivian wears Valentino, red, dramatic, expensive. She works the room like a politician, touching arms and laughing and performing. James stands near the bar, watching her with an expression I can't read. I circulate with champagne trays. I'm nobody. Background. Furniture with a pulse. Until Vivian needs someone to blame. It happens during the toasts. I'm refilling glasses at table 12 when Vivian sweeps past. Her heel catches the edge of my shoe. Her fault, clearly. And she stumbles. Her wine sloshes. A few drops hit her dress. The room is loud. No one notices. No one but Vivian, who sees an opportunity. You clumsy idiot. Her voice cuts through conversations. Look what you've done. Heads turn. The string quartet falters. I freeze, tray balanced, trying to understand what just happened. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't what? Watch where you were going. Do your job properly? She's performing now, voice rising. This dress is Valentino. $15,000. And you've ruined it. I look down at the 3 tiny drops on red fabric. Barely visible. Ma'am, I can get club soda. You can get out of my sight. She grabs the wine glass from the nearest table. Full, Burgundy Merlot. And before I can process what's happening, she throws it. The wine hits my chest like a slap. Cold and shocking and humiliating. 200 people stare. I stand there, dripping, holding an empty champagne tray, every eye in the room on me. This is the moment I'm supposed to disappear. Apologize. Fade into the walls. Instead, I meet Vivian's eyes. And I see it. The satisfaction. The cruelty. The absolute certainty that I won't fight back, because people like me never do. She's wrong. But before I can speak, James is moving. He crosses the ballroom in long strides, his face carved from stone. He stops beside me, not beside Vivian. Beside me. Carmen, he says quietly. Are you all right? Ah, yes, sir. He looks at Vivian. What happened? She spilled wine on my dress. I saw what you did. His voice is level, but something dangerous underlies it. Everyone saw. Vivian's smile falters. James, darling, you're misunderstanding, am I? He turns to address the room. Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse the interruption. There's been an incident. The ballroom goes silent. James takes the microphone from the podium. Vivian's face drains of color. James, she hisses. What are you doing? Something I should have done months ago. He looks at me. Carmen, would you please stay? I'd like you to hear this. I nod, wine-soaked and confused and terrified. James faces 200 of the most powerful people in San Francisco. This party, he begins, was meant to celebrate my engagement, to introduce my fiancée to my colleagues and friends, to announce the beginning of a new chapter. Vivian reaches for his arm. Darling. He steps away from her touch. Instead, it's revealed something I've been trying not to see. Something my staff has been too professional to tell me. Something I need to address publicly because the insult was public. My heart hammers. This can't be happening. Vivian Laurent is a bully. The words land like grenades. She treats people she considers beneath her with contempt. She's cruel to my staff. She's calculating about my money. And she just assaulted an employee in front of all of you because she could. Gasps ripple through the crowd. James. Vivian's voice shakes. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm embarrassed, he agrees. That I didn't see it sooner. That I let loneliness and board pressure convince me to propose to someone I didn't love. That I ignored the signs because it was easier than being alone. He looks directly at Vivian. The engagement is over. I want you out of my house tonight. The room erupts in whispers. Vivian's face cycles through shock, rage, calculation. You can't do this. You proposed. There's a contract. The prenup you were planning to challenge? The one I know your lawyers were examining? That contract. James's smile is cold. I had my team review it yesterday. You walked away with nothing if the engagement ends due to your misconduct. Assaulting staff qualifies. This is insane. Vivian looks around desperately. He's having some kind of breakdown. No one here is confused about what happened. James interrupts. You humiliated an innocent woman to feel powerful. You revealed exactly who you are. I'm grateful you did it before the wedding. He turns to me. Carmen, I apologize. For not protecting you. For creating an environment where you felt you couldn't come to me. For being so absorbed in work that I missed what was happening in my own home. I can't speak. Can't process this. You have tomorrow off. Paid. To recover from this appalling treatment. When you return, I'd like to discuss a different position. One that doesn't involve serving people who treat you like furniture. Tears burn my eyes. I manage a nod. James returns the microphone to its stand. He addresses the crowd one final time. The party's over. Thank you for coming. I'll be in touch individually to explain and apologize for the disruption. He walks toward me, removes his jacket, and drapes it over my wine-stained shoulders. Reeves will escort you home, he says softly. Take care of yourself. Then he's gone, leaving 200 stunned guests and one destroyed fiancé, and me standing in the center of it all, wrapped in a jacket that smells like expensive cologne and unexpected decency. The video goes viral by midnight. Someone recorded it, posted it. Tech CEO dumps fiancé during engagement party after she assaults Maid. 20 million views by morning. The internet divides into camps. Those praising James for standing up, those criticizing the public humiliation, those analyzing Vivian's character, those questioning if it was staged. I watch from my apartment, small, clean, nothing like the estate. I watch myself stand there, dripping wine, while a man I barely know defends me in front of everyone who matters to his career. My phone rings. It's Reeves. Carmen? Are you all right? I think I'm unemployed, I say. Quite the opposite. Mr. Castellano wants to meet with you. Tomorrow, if you're willing. He has a proposal. What kind of proposal? The kind that changes things, Reeves says cryptically. Get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. I hang up. I shower off the wine. I lie in bed, watching the video loop on my phone. I pause on James's face when he says, she treats people she considers beneath her with contempt. He looks angry, but underneath, hurt. Like he's just realized how blind he's been. I know that look. I wore it 3 years ago when I understood the hospital never cared about saving my mom. Only about liability and bed turnover and insurance reimbursements. When you wake up to cruelty you missed, it cuts deep. I fall asleep wondering what tomorrow brings. Wondering if speaking up, finally, after all this time, will cost me everything or change everything. The answer, it turns out, is both. James meets me in his study, not the formal dining room. He's in jeans, in a sweater, casual, human, tired. He looks like he hasn't slept. Carmen, thank you for coming. He gestures to a chair. Please sit. I perch on the edge, his jacket folded on my lap. I washed it, pressed it, brought it back. I owe you an apology, he begins. You already apologized, sir. James, he corrects. And I apologize for last night. I owe you one for the last 4 months. For not seeing. For creating a workplace where you couldn't safely report abuse. It wasn't your fault. It was my house. My fiancée. My responsibility. He leans forward. Reeves told me this morning that he tried to mention Vivian's behavior 3 times. I was too distracted to listen. Too focused on the company going public, on board expectations, on checking boxes in my personal life. He runs a hand through his hair. I proposed to Vivian because she fit. Looked right on paper. My board wanted me settled before the IPO, family man, stable, mature. I wanted to stop being alone in this giant house. So I convinced myself it was enough. Sometimes we lie to ourselves. I say quietly, because the truth is too hard. James looks at me sharply. You sound like you've done that. Everyone has. Silence settles. Outside, gardeners trim hedges. Life continues. Vivian's threatening to sue. James says. Defamation. Breach of contract. Public humiliation. Her lawyers sent papers this morning. My stomach drops. Because of me. Because you defended. Because I told the truth. His voice is firm. Let her sue. Discovery will be very interesting. I have recordings from the house security system. Vivian didn't know about the audio in common areas. Her conversations with her mother, her friends, her lawyer, all documented. He pulls out a folder. Opens it. Discussing how to break the prenup. Mocking my work. Calling my staff the hired morons. Planning to convince me to sell the company and move to Europe. He closes it. She married me for money. I almost let her because I was lonely. That's on me. What happens now? I settle. Pay her something to go away quietly. Move on. He meets my eyes. But first, I fix what I broke. Starting with you. I don't understand. James slides a paper across the desk. I'm establishing a foundation. For people who've experienced workplace abuse and don't have resources to fight back. Legal aid. Counseling. Support networks. Reeves mentioned your mother, the hospital situation. I thought perhaps you'd understand why this matters. My throat tightens. You researched me? I asked Reeves why you work so hard. Why you're always busy. He told me about your mother. About the discharge. About you trying to advocate and being shut down. James's voice softens. I'm sorry that happened. And I want to help make sure it happens less. Tears burn. That's incredibly kind. It's pragmatic. I have money and lawyers and a platform. Other people don't. Someone should use those resources for good. He pushes another paper forward. This is a job offer. Director of Operations for the Foundation. You'd build the intake system, hire advocates, train staff. You'd help people navigate systems that are designed to silence them. I stare at the number. The salary. The title. I'm a maid, I whisper. You're someone who notices things. Who cares? Who stood in front of 200 people dripping with wine and didn't back down. James smiles slightly. You're exactly who should run this. I don't have a degree in nonprofit management. You have a degree in surviving systems that tried to crush you. That's more valuable. He pauses. This isn't charity, Carmen. I need someone who understands what it feels like to be powerless. Who won't forget that when they have power. I'll look at the paper. At the Foundation's mission statement. To amplify voices the powerful prefer to silence. I think of my mother. Of every time I was told to trust the doctors, to not make trouble, to accept what I was told. I think of last night. Standing there, deciding whether to disappear or speak. Okay, I say. Yes, I'll do it. James's smile is genuine. Thank you. I think we'll do good work together. The Foundation launches 3 months later. We occupy offices in San Francisco. We employ 4 lawyers, 3 counselors, 2 investigators, and me, running intake, training advocates, building systems. Our first case, a home health aide who reported patient abuse and was fired. We get her reinstated. Her employer sanctioned. The patient moved to safe care. Our second, a restaurant worker whose boss withheld wages. We recover the money. File charges. Change doesn't happen in silence. By month 6, we've helped 43 people. Won 12 cases. Changed 3 company policies. James chairs the board. Donates generously. Shows up for grunt work. Answering phones. Stuffing envelopes. Listening to stories. Why do you do this? I asked one evening, Both of us boxing files. Because I almost married someone cruel, he says simply. Because I ignored signs. Because I want to be the kind of person who listens when someone says something's wrong. You're trying to forgive yourself. He looks at me. Aren't you? Every day, I admit. For not fighting harder for my mom. For staying quiet so many times. For being afraid. You're not quiet now. No, I'm done with that. The Vivian lawsuit settles quietly. She takes a payout. Signs an NDA. Disappears to New York. The video haunts her. Job offers withdrawn. Social circles closed. She made herself the villain in a morality play the internet won't forget. I should feel satisfaction. Instead, I feel sad. That she chose cruelty. That she never learned what James is learning. That power without compassion is just noise. On the 1-year anniversary of the engagement party, James hosts a fundraiser. Same ballroom. Same chandeliers. Different purpose. 500 people attend. The foundation raises $2 million. We announce plans to expand to 3 more cities. I give a speech, me, the maid, standing where I once served wine. A year ago, I say, someone threw a drink on me in this room. It was humiliating. It was cruel. It was also a gift. I look at James, sitting front row, because it forced truth into light. It showed me that silence protects the wrong people. That speaking up, even when you're afraid, even when you might lose everything, matters more than safety. The foundation exists because someone with power chose to use it well. Because one man decided that defending the powerless mattered more than avoiding embarrassment. Because he taught me that changing systems starts with refusing to accept them. I pause. The room is silent. If you've ever been silenced by a boss, a system, a person who had power over you, I want you to know, your voice matters. Your observations count. Your courage to speak changes things. We're here to amplify that voice, to stand beside you, to make sure the next person doesn't have to stand alone, dripping wine, hoping someone notices. The applause is thunder. Afterward, James finds me on the terrace. That was a good speech, he says. I meant it. I know. He's quiet for a moment. I've been thinking about what you said, about silence protecting the wrong people. And I was silent for years. About being lonely, about settling, about accepting a relationship that looked right but felt empty. He turns to face me. I don't want to be silent anymore either. Something in his voice makes my heart skip. Carmen, I know this might be inappropriate. You work for the foundation, and I'm the board chair, and there are power dynamics, and he stops. Starts again. Would you have dinner with me? Not as colleagues. As 2 people who've learned that honesty matters more than convenience. I look at him. Really look. I see someone who made mistakes and owned them. Who chose integrity over image. Who's learning that wealth means nothing without conscience. I see someone worth knowing. Yes, I say. I'd like that. His smile could power the city. We take it slowly. Dinner becomes dinners. Conversations. Long walks through the gardens I used to clean. He tells me about growing up poor, building a company, losing himself in success. I tell him about my mom, about learning to advocate, about finding purpose in pain. We're careful. Professional at work. Private and personal life. No rush. No performance. Just truth. Finally, 6 months later, he kisses me under the stars. A year later, he proposes. No spectacle, no party, just the 2 of us in the garden. I love you, he says simply. You make me want to be better, truer, more human. I love you too, I reply. You taught me that my voice matters. We marry in a small ceremony. No engagement party. Just family, close friends, and Reeves, who cries through the whole thing. The foundation continues growing. We're in 8 states now. We've helped over 300 people. We've changed legislation, influenced corporate policy, trained advocates. We've saved lives. Not all of them. Not enough. But some. And those matter. I think of my mother often. Of the questions I didn't ask loudly enough. Of the system that failed her. I can't change the past. But I can change the present. Every intake call. Every case we win. Every person who finds their voice. It's for her. For me. For everyone who was told to accept less than they deserved. On the 3rd anniversary of the wine incident, a young woman calls the foundation. She's a nanny. Her employer is abusive. She's afraid to speak up. What if I'm wrong? She asks. What if it costs me everything? I close my eyes. Remember standing in that ballroom, dripping red wine, deciding. Speaking up might cost you everything. I tell her honestly. Staying silent definitely will. Because you'll lose yourself. What should I do? Notice. Document. Trust yourself. And when you're ready, speak. That's scary. It is, I agree. But you're not alone. That's why we're here. She comes in the next day. We investigate. We find abuse. We intervene. We win. Another life changed because someone decided their voice mattered. If this story touched you, if you've ever been silenced, ever treated like you're invisible, ever wondered if speaking up is worth the risk, I want you to tell you something. It is. Your observations matter. Your courage counts. Your voice can change everything. The world needs people who refuse to stay quiet when something's wrong, who notice what powerful people miss, who decide that truth matters more than comfort. Be that person. Speak up for yourself, for others, for the ones who can't. Because sometimes, often, the smallest voice asking the biggest question is exactly what breaks everything open. The maids, the nannies, the overlooked ones, we see things. We know things. And when we finally speak, when we decide we matter, everything changes. Not because we're heroes, but because we refuse to be silent. And that refusal? That's where justice begins.